Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Now, you can see the backdrop is back to the way we had it. The other one it's a little much to take up and put down and get the lighting and everything around there. So, I'm going to optimize it. It probably will eventually be the permanent backdrop, but for now, we got the media case and router and piano again. So, or keyboard. I'm sure there are some people who prefer to call this a keyboard. It's not a real piano. All right. Anyways, though, let's get on with this week's. We're in the new releases theme, and I believe this was the most popular in the poll. We're looking at Snowblood by ERRA, and Brendan Hayes specifically requested this one, and yeah, I'm excited about this one. This is the one that the highest percentage of people thought that, dude, I should check out. No, wait, that was last week. This is the song that the highest majority of people decided was what I needed to check out for new releases. This is the most popular newly released track from the poll. So let's do it. Let's see what this one's all about. ERRA. Nice little halftime there. Very nice. I love that little half resolution. I like how they changed it up just a little bit there. Oh man, that panning. That panning was going hard. Very solo. I'll get to it in the after. breakdown time.
This is a waking nightmare. Crawling out of the crypt, stumbling the living dry. In this fantasy, the villains when the heroes die. Slow diving to despair. Bucket of dawn. This is a waking nightmare.
All right, my first question. That extremely fast note there at the end, it also showed up a couple times in the guitar solo, and it was featured in the second verse, I think it was. Is that tremolo picking? Or is that some sort of like really I would probably say it's automated sort of kill switch on the guitar, or is it completely digital? Is they do they have a like a synth guy doing that kind of stuff? Um, yeah, just that is a heavy song, and it's definitely up my alley. Um, yeah, I get a lot of periphery vibes from it. It's obviously gent or gent adjacent. There's a lot of heavy rhythmic components to it. Very low tuning, lots of yelling and screaming. Um, there's sweet. I don't know if there's a technical guitar solo. It's definitely falls into what I would, like I said, gent adjacent, something in that genre or near to the genre. Um, and they even use some of those halftone resolutions that Spencer is known for a lot, the singer from Periphery. So, yeah. Yeah, like I said, right up my alley. I don't know if it was voted that way because you guys knew I would like it, or if it was just something that you guys loved and you wanted me to check it out. I don't know how it got to the top of the polls, but I mean, yeah, that's for me. That's for me. It's just a nice, fun jam with a bunch of elements that I do enjoy. I wish there was a little bit more cleanliness to it. Just clean vocals. Some sort of clean guitar. I think the synth did a good job of doing the contrast that softer sections and clean guitars or acoustic guitars typically would. Um, if we look to, I don't remember what section it was. I was going to talk about it, and then the section shifted. I think it was right after the breakdown. Um, but everybody was just kind of tearing it up. We had some really fast guitar riffs going on. I think they were, I don't know, they were just faster. And the drums were killing it, but the synths were holding out these longer notes, almost like full bars, whole notes. And it was providing that sort of held out contrast or rhythmic contrast to what everybody else was doing, while also providing a sort of auditory floor for everything else to kind of rest on. And I dug it. It also created a new texture, a sound texture that the guitars and the vocalists weren't really presenting because they were doing a lot of harsh sounds, a lot of distortion, whether that was done electronically in the guitars or humanly. Organically, I guess would be a term that the vocalist provides that distortion from his own body. The synths did have a little bit of an edge to them, a little bit of not really a compression, but a little bit of distortion on it. But they weren't as distorted as a lot of the rest. And like I said, they were rhythmically providing some contrast to what was going on with everybody else. And that section itself, I think, did a really good job of kind of balancing the equation, because this is a really heavy song. And in the context of an album, assuming that maybe they have some softer songs or some softer sides to songs, the context of an album could help me enjoy this a lot more, even though I did still really enjoy it. Like I said, I do wish there was a little bit more calmness. And, it's possible that they have that calmness or cleanliness in other songs or in other portions of songs. And listening to the song within the context of the album might help me enjoy it even more, is what I'm getting at there. Um, the only other thing that I can really talk about is going to be their rhythmic direction. Some of their rhythms are just wild. All right. Um, and it's not even just that if you focus in on just the music, it's not that it's going to be mind blowing. All right, yes, Gent has interesting rhythmic composition. That's what kind of the genre is about. And we can take it to the extreme with stuff like Meshuggah. We should really listen to another band like Meshuggah because I hate bringing them up all the time when we talk about rhythmic stuff, but I don't have anything analogous to them. Like, they are the epitome of taking this concept to the ultimate ends. I don't know any other band that does what they do, and I'd like to bring up other examples, but it's always Meshuggah because that's the only band I know that does that. Um, but yeah, so like we have the ultimate endpoint for this stuff, and these guys I think sit in a nice medium. They're not too technical, where I'm finding it becomes taxing to listen to. I'm sure once you get into it and you understand, what the song's doing, or maybe if you are just kind of used to listening to that kind of music and you can just kind of turn your brain off and fall into it, that's awesome. You can just get into that groove. But me, my brain's going. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and it's that's some complex stuff that they write, and it's just kind of hard for me to relax to that music. And I think this is just a really, really nice sweet spot for rhythmic composition, and that it's not to the point where I'm trying to analyze it. Like, I'm picking up on the rhythms, but it's still complex enough for me to appreciate what's going on, and it's not a simple song to listen to. There's still something to latch on to, a little bit of meat to bite into. So, yeah, like I was saying, though, they have a really interesting rhythmic direction to it. And I love the way that they don't stick with the same concept for too long. And I know that's just going to make me sound like, an ADD metalhead, like a prog listener. If they're not changing every 5 seconds, what am I listening to? Why am I still listening to it? But no, I think that they just have a really good sense of when something becomes stale. And I think sticking with basically a lot of what they do is 1 to 2 bar riffs, occasionally using some sort of time modulation by ending a riff like an eighth of a beat early, so it starts an eighth of a beat early on the next repetition. So you do have these little bits of time modulation going on, but it's not extreme. It's not, creating a juddering effect. It's all done very smoothly. Um, but a lot of it is how they perform it. They have these extremely sharp attacks and releases. Like, these are some of the shortest staccatos I've heard. Maybe that might not be true. That is that is a very big, bold statement there. But these are very abrupt notes. They start fast, they end fast, and it just has this chug to it that you don't really get with a lot of bands. And it creates this really sharp harshness to the rhythms, which is really weird. I usually use harsh with textures and sounds, not necessarily with rhythms, but this has very sharp, harsh rhythms to it. And yeah, it's just something that you can. It's like these like deep grooves in, not like grooves like oh man, my metaphor is getting all sort of lost here. Anyways, though, it's like these deep cuts. And I don't know if you kind of saw the way that I was bobbing my head during some of these parts, but it's like you get this sharp in and then like a smooth out, and a sharp in and a smooth out. Don't 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 don't. And I don't know, man. It works. It's like a sharp funkiness, and I dig it. Like I don't think many people would describe the rhythms here as funk, but when you really break it down with the way that things are being accented, which notes are being emphasized, which beats are being emphasized, which offbeats are being emphasized, which is really important for the funk metaphor. Uh, it is kind of especially the verse. Let me point that out. The verse is mostly what I'm talking about right here. It gets kind of funky, even though I think it's a little more. It's definitely too harsh to be funk. I think it's maybe even a little too complex to be funk, but it has funk elements to it. I just really dig that. Um, I haven't really talked about the vocalist. I don't know that the vocalist had any sort of impact on me. It was not offensive. It worked. The screams, growls were solid. The cleans were nice. It just nothing that really stood out to me as unique or beyond what anybody else would do in the same position. I don't know. Maybe that one's just me. And then the guitar work's just really solid. I said I wanted to talk about the solo. If you're waiting for that part, this is that part. All right, buckle down. We're going to talk about that solo. Um, so I thought it was an extremely tasteful solo, despite the fact that it really didn't have many slow parts. I've said before, I think a good solo is about storytelling, and good storytelling is about pacing. And the pacing for the solo was not atrocious, even though a lot of it was shred, a lot of it was showing off. It worked with what was going on around it, and it worked with the rest of the piece. The song is sonically an assault. There are not a lot of moments that aren't harsh and impactful and rigid. The song is very rigid, very harsh, very impactful. It is all about punchiness. You can hear it in the tone of the guitars. You can hear it in the crunch of the distortion when the dude screams. You every little bit of this is about attack, not so much about the decay. Like I said, there is a lot of harsh decay in a lot of this stuff where notes are not held very long, just a lot of staccato stuff. But a lot of the emphasis is on the attack. There's a lot of sharp attacks all throughout this song. And the guitar solo just sort of embodies a lot of that. It turns into a little bit more legato stuff with the hammer-ons and pull-offs, but the speed is still showing a sort of aggressiveness to it. So you take the speed away, you just go with held out notes, it loses that aggressiveness that the song is kind of based on, which is why a lot of those held out notes ended up being tremolo picked, or that modulation. I don't know. Fast notes, though, is what came out. I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing him playing tremolo. Like I said, it could be, I mean, for all I know, it's a foot pedal with a really quick kill switch on it. That creates that fast warble almost. But yeah, even the held out notes, when he wanted to slow down the playing, we still got some speed out of that. There's still aggression to it. So even though the solo, I think, is not one of my favorite solos, I have to give it credit for just embodying the concept of the song and continuing on with the storytelling that was told throughout the rest of the track and the rest of the instruments. So yeah, overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this. It's right up my alley. It hits a lot of the notes. Ticks a lot of the boxes that I enjoy about harsher music, and I will probably be looking at more ERRA stuff. I am hoping for a little bit more contrast. This was like I said, this was a very heavy song, or a song that was heavy in aggression. And I definitely don't mind that as long as there's context to it. Like I was talking about, maybe other songs on the album can provide some contrast to that. But yeah, that's where you guys come in. Let me know what you guys thought of ERRA. And yeah. I usually have more to say, like, you can tell me about this, but I don't know, man. I guess just tell me whatever you like or didn't like about this track. And above the comment section is a description box with some links. If you'd like to vote on future bands or future themes, maybe you'd like to join the Discord community, you can click on the link for Patreon. It's only $1 a month. You get access to some fantastic, phenomenal conversation over in the Discord community, as well as access to a little behind the scenes stuff and some transparency. I talk about how I pick songs and stuff like that. You guys can kind of see that process, as well as voting on other tracks. And like I said, the Discord community. $1 a month, it's not that bad. There's also links for blocked videos if you'd like to see what YouTube does not want you to see. And there's a like, a subscribe, and a bell around there. Click all three of those if you like. They help out the channel, and they can help out you if you're interested in knowing about the things that I do. Finally, if you didn't want to do any of that, you're still awesome in my books. And keep being awesome. Keep being safe out there, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.